Oh, hey, lovely artists. It is Ros here. Today, we are joined by intuitive artist Jack P. And we're talking about what happens when art begins as a place to breathe, but slowly becomes something other people want to buy, collect, and display. Jack shares how she came back to art as an adult through curiosity, well being, and courage, without a big polished plan, but by following the next step. We talk about making art for the process versus making art for the product, as well as self doubt, comparison, commissions, galleries, community, and staying connected to the reason you create in the first place. If you have ever wondered whether your art needs to be more strategic, more sellable, or more serious before you're allowed to claim it, I think this episode will really speak to you. This is episode 117 of the Paint, Rest, Repeat podcast, which means you can find all the relevant links and the show notes over at permissiontopaint.co/podcast 117. Welcome to Paint, Rest, Repeat, the podcast for artists who are ready to ditch the overwhelm, follow their passion, and build a thriving art life on their own terms. I'm Ros, an Aussie artist, mum of two, and creative business coach who knows exactly how wild, wonderful, and wobbly the artist journey can be, because I've lived it. I left behind a safe teaching career to follow my heart into art, and now my work hangs in galleries and major art fairs across Australia. After years of coaching, I'm passionate about helping you ditch the starving artist myth, stick it to the naysayers, and design a creative life that truly lights you up. So if you're ready for real talk, practical tips, and heartfelt encouragement, you found your podcast. Hit follow and let's dive in. Our guest today is Jack Puntorero, also known as Jack P, an intuitive artist based in Leeton in the Riverina region of New South Wales, Australia. Jack creates original, one-of-a-kind works using acrylic paint and charcoal line on canvas. Her work is layered and deeply connected to feeling, to courage, and the physical act of painting itself. She draws inspiration from nature, color, life, other people, and the strong connection she has to family and community. For Jack, creating is not just about making something beautiful. It's a way of finding peace, presence, and also possibility. Her practice is grounded in showing up honestly, painting with intention, and being brave enough to explore what might happen when she steps outside the safe place. Jack has been shortlisted for and won many art prizes, including being a two-time winner of the Penny Panniers Art Prize for abstract work. She has also been featured in Art Edit and Interior Design. She has been part of many group exhibitions, and her paintings now hang in collections both nationally and internationally. I am so pleased to welcome Jack to the podcast today. Jack, welcome to the podcast. You're an intuitive artist. So tell us, what does that mean? And tell us, while you're at it, tell us about you and your art, generally.
Okay. So there's making art for product and there's making art for process. And for me, being an intuitive artist means I make art for the process. So I probably need to go back a step and explain who I am and where my art came from. So I live in Leeton, which is a regional country town in the middle of New South Wales. So if you got a line from Melbourne and went up 6 hours, and you got a line from Sydney and came out about 6 hours, you would get about where I am. So middle of nowhere, really beautiful little community. It's where I grew up, and I moved away for a little while, did uni degree, worked in health for quite a long time, for 20 years. And so when I went to school, I was an artist and did art at school and did all that normal stuff. And then did my HSC in art, but it didn't draw very well. So I kind of put away the art love for a long time and lived my life and was a mum and a wife and just did life. And then I thought it was 5 years, but it's like 10 now. I saw this little tiny keychain. There's a lady called Kelly Ray Roberts who had a little keychain, and on the keychain it said, become a possibilitarian. And I went, oh, that is beautiful. I loved it so much that I went onto her webpage and found she was doing an art class. And so when I wanted to do the art class, I actually had to go and buy paint. So I had to ring a paint shop because I don't have a paint shop here, and say, I need to buy paint. I don't know anything about colors. I don't know anything about like what colors do I need? Because there's, 10 greens and 10 yellows, and I knew nothing. Anyway, so I got this whole package of stuff, and Kelly's in the course, she paints with her fingers, and I'm opposite of painting with fingers person. I'm like, paint with my fingers. And so I was in a place where I needed to do something. My kids were getting older and life was just changing. I did this course and I painted. I still remember sitting there with this paint going, oh, it's on my fingers. Anyway, I had to paint with it. So I did. And it was like this change. And like I can remember the day, it was just like, oh my God, what is this? And so I started creating and creating and creating. And I was in a little tiny corner in Pat's workshop in the shed. And then suddenly his shed became like all these paintings were going up on the wall where I was sticking them up because I was just like, had to do this amazing art. She was also about, as much as she was about painting with fingers, it's all about putting words into it and meaning making. So I started with that, and I was painting these paintings. People would pop over and they're like, oh my God, can I buy that? And I'm like, really? Sure, here you go. And so then I started selling paintings, but then also selling prints of the paintings.
I would love to start answering more listener questions on the podcast. So if you have a question about your art, your creative direction, selling your work, or staying aligned as you grow, send it through. You can submit your question through the link in the show notes or DM me on Instagram. And if you'd love to keep the conversation going with other artists, you can also join my free Facebook community, Permission to Paint.
And then I realized that in the creating of because I was going to go to art fairs and I was becoming where am I going to go being an artist kind of thing. But the art fairs, I kind of went to an art fair once thinking this is amazing. And I watched all these people sitting behind their stands and trying to sell their work. And I thought, I don't want to do that because people were walking past. And I thought, I actually don't need to see the people that walk past. Create these things for me, and then the stories I need to tell, and it's my journey and my story. And therefore, I think, so I kind of went, okay, no prints, go back to originals. And there are actually people who do have video. I've got some. So they were on cards or things like that.
Wow, beautiful.
So they were all on boards. So I kind of was doing and it's mixed media.
Mhm. So this was when you were first sort of starting out. So if you are listening on podcast land, hop on over to YouTube and you'll be able to see as well.
So then there was also, so that was when I did the prints. But it was about writing, for me, it was writing You Matter to Me and Believe and Just Breathe and Practice Courage, and all of that stuff was coming up in these things. And I just was loving them. So it was then that I really realized how important creating was for me,
Mm.
and it's the process. Like I said, it's the walking in, it's coming in with intention to create that became what I needed to do for me. So then I was almost like I had to read and watch videos and do classes and do courses and meet artists. And along the way, I came across a couple of people that really shifted how I was working. There's a lady called Julia Cameron and she's got The Artist Way. I'm sure some people have heard of her, but she talked and this is absolutely boiling it down. But the thing I got from that is about creating a journal, which is like a, you know, that kind of thing, a creative one where blank pages where you're just creating, and I'm doing it all the time.
Jack, that's beautiful. Hold that up, Jack, again. So it's a visual
So
diary.
this is just my workbook. So it's kind of, there's lots and lots of messy stuff, the one that you saw. And some of it's mixed media. So a lot of it's mixed media. So it's taking, you know, cuttings and pieces of other
Wow.
people's art or, things out of calendars but then adding colours and layers. So that's what we're talking about. So
Yeah.
so there's a creative one, but then there's also the written one. So I had two books and I was working from all of them. So that's the takeaway I got not at all the way Julia Cameron wrote about it, but that's how what I got from it. And then there was a lady called Connie Solera, who's an American artist. I did a workshop with her, which was the 12-month program. I used to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to be able to link into the thing. It was amazing. So for me, creating became this thing where I was really doing it in the books. Like I was creating in the books. I was reading, I was writing, I was contacting artists that I love. I was doing workshops as well. But for me, that was really important to again do that stuff in there because I could look at that and know which workshop I was doing at that point because it's kind of like their signature, another artist's signature when you're doing a workshop. So I go to there to wash out their signature. So I'm not actually using their voice when I do my paintings. That's these days, 10 years later. Back then, that was really important for me to learn that I needed to, like, I don't want to ever sell anyone else's story. So I'm very authentic in that.
That will be very relatable for a lot of our listeners as well. So you've shared a lot about how you started in art and how you sort of basically said yes to all of these amazing, rich learning opportunities, which I think is fantastic. And you've dropped a few, names and programs and all of that, which is amazing. So I'll actually include those in the show notes as well. You mentioned earlier about, art for process and art for product. And I really like that separation and that sort of clarification there. Are you saying that you only make art for process or your main drive is art for the process?
Yeah. So intuitive art to me is about where I go to breathe. It's where I go to have peace. And so to me, intuitive is not thinking I need to paint a picture of this. It's I actually work backwards. So when I work intuitively, I start with a blank canvas and I do the first layer and then I come back and slowly I work. So every single work I do is different and I can't actually create the same thing. I've often had somebody go, "Oh, I love that piece. Can you make that piece?" I don't even know how I did it. I look at that art, coming back to your second question, it's only about the process. And there are times because now I do sell in a couple of galleries and that I'll get asked to do something specific or I'll have somebody ask for a commission and I know that I can't actually do that because then I move from creating here in my heart to creating in my head. And so then I'm putting another layer, like I'm actually putting a voice over the top of what I'm trying to create authentically.
Yeah, and it's such a tricky one to navigate because, yeah, I know what you mean because I work intuitively as well. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think you just want the dream. I think you could, in theory, do it still offer commissions, but you want the dream client who understands from the get go they're not prescribing the artwork. You'll make an artwork for them to the right dimensions. I'm sure you could do the dimensions.
Yeah. Yeah. I can do the dimensions.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I can tell you the size of the end product, but it is going to be what it is going to be. Are you cool with that? And if they say yes, then like off you go. But I know what you mean. And it's very tricky to navigate the energy around
Yes.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
commission.
Yeah, I think I did that back in my early days that somebody wanted and a really big, it was huge. And I went, yeah, I can do that. And they wanted lean towards the blues. Yep, no worries. And then I did it and they went, oh, I don't really like those blue poles. And I went, that's fine. The end. No more commissions ever. But having said that, I now do a little bit different in that if somebody wants a specific size, I will do a couple in that size and I'll say, here's the couple idea. If you like them, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. Generally, I have to say they usually buy both.
Yeah, that's a great approach.
Because I kind of like it, not usually, a couple of times it's happened where they've bought both. Because what I also I'm happy to do is listen to their story. So when I'm doing a commission for somebody, I say, "Tell me about yourself," and they'll tell me about where they lived or where they've been or where they're going and their family and their story. And I do love being able to then, even if it's just thinking about them, then that puts that story into that painting, and I do enjoy doing that. So I have done a commission a couple of times like that. That's yeah, and the people. I mean, it's beautiful. And if they don't want it, there's never been that they haven't wanted it. To be
That's
honest,
that's really special actually, as you were chatting as you were sharing that, I got goosebumps because, a lot of people don't feel heard, like, I don't mean on a shallow level, people don't feel like anyone else listens, and I think it's because life's so busy. So the fact that you offer that as part of what you do and then you integrate that into the actual artwork, I think that's very, very special. And I saw, like, on your website as well, you say that you have multiple roles. You have mother, daughter, wife, and listener at the end. And I took note of that, in preparation. And I thought that's very, honestly, that's something that really should be cherished about you, Jack, and what you do.
Thank you. That used to be my job. So I used to listen to people, and I think that for me, it's community and it's connection, and I think that's the big part of who I am is connecting with people and community. And I see people, and when people might not feel heard, maybe you're right.
And I guess that's the challenge with the business side of your art practice is just making sure that comes across so that people understand that about what you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Ah, beautiful, Jack. Okay, so we talked around that intuitive piece and that art for process, art for meditation, and its importance to your spirit as well. I saw that also on your website, Jack.
Did
Might
you?
might have pre-stalked you.
It's a beautiful website.
It is a really lovely website, everyone. Go and have a look at it. What is your domain name? I do have it open.
It's Jack P.
Can
JACP.
can I share the fact that we all struggle to pronounce your last name, Jack?
Yes, you can do that because I can't say it either. I have been married for a very long time and I can't roll my R's. So it's Puntarero, but that is not how you say it. If you've got an Italian accent or you can roll your R's, my family can do it really well.
Which R do you roll? Both of them?
Punto, it's the OR bit that they roll there. Yeah. So I'm not going to even try.
Now, going back to when you first started your art. So you discovered art as an adult, right?
Yes, yes.
And you moved into that, or you started to explore that area primarily for basically,
Yeah,
well-being,
yep,
play,
absolutely.
something for you, that whole space. Did you have any dreams for your art at that point in time? Like,
Yes. For my art, it was not about, I don't think my dream was about art. My dream was about finding a place that like more the meditation. I mean, for me, it would be saying, "What's your dream when you go to yoga class?" It wasn't really about. I wasn't creating as a dream to become an artist. It was in part of the process that actually became. I mean, I think I probably wanted to be an artist when I was a child, but couldn't paint the tree that looked like a tree, so it was never going to be my career. So it wasn't actually even a dream I would have entertained. Um,
that makes me so
I
sad.
know. Oh, but I think that everybody is that not everybody's story though? I think everybody in this world is a creative. They just need that spark to be able to tell them that that their voice and their story is actually important, and it doesn't matter what that looks like. I'm blessed that people love my art and my story, and that they buy them, and then I can make more. So I definitely, as a child, didn't have a dream of being an artist because I didn't think of that as a career. So I don't think it's something I even dared to dream. When I came to this and started creating and then looked at the different avenues of going to fairs and things. But, I guess my dream was to be in a gallery, and now I have my art in a few galleries, and that's awesome. And each gallery I love because they all have their own special connections. It's always about connection and community for me as much as everything else.
And you can feel that in your artwork because I've seen your art in person as well. So it's not just looking at it through the screen here. Like, it does actually have that energy.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Now, when you signed up though to the course around becoming a professional artist, clearly at that point you decided, okay, I'm going to try to take this in inverted commas seriously and basically make a more of a professional business, I suppose, out of your art practice. So you would have had some, dreams or aspirations at that point. What was the risk for you? Like, can you imagine what life would be like? I guess there's two things. What your life would have been like if you hadn't discovered art, and then what things would be like if you didn't move into the selling your art sort of a space with a website, with galleries, with Instagram. Like, what would that have looked like for you, do you think?
I really don't know because I do believe, like, I kind of feel I've lost this pathway, and I try not to look at the top of the mountain over there because it feels very, very hard. So I don't actually look that far away. I kind of look at the next step because, and I say that all the time because I think, probably only one step because the next step's good. And I kind of have a rough idea where the second step might go. But what if that next step goes this way? And here I am, there's a whole U-turn and actually the mountain's over that direction and it's not even a mountain. It's a, flat plain. So without art, I really don't know where I would be. My house would be much less colourful because I've also become a collector of art. I love original work and I'm buying original work and there's no walls left in my house. So it's really cool. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'd probably be going to meditation because it's so important to be able to ground and just for me, that's a really important part of who I am. I think I would have had to find another way of believing that I was enough. For me, a challenge always for everything I do is that, am I enough? All the time. But what I have learned through the process is that even the most amazing artists have the same questions and they are doubting their value, not getting into galleries and like they're, struggling as well. And I think that when I realized that, I suddenly went, hold on, I actually am an artist. Like I have an important voice and I have an important story, and that's mine. So I stopped comparing myself because it's a beef. Like if you look on Instagram and you see everyone else's art, and you think, oh well, if I painted like that, or if I was with that gallery, or if I was doing this, then that would make something different. Where it's not that. So does that make sense?
Absolutely, Jack. Like, honestly, you're giving me goosebumps again because this is amazing and really helpful for our listeners as well, because where I was going to go next with the questioning really is aligned perfectly with what you're saying, which is, what has helped you. So I've just noted down, stopping comparison. So stopping comparing yourself to other people. From what you've said, I would also add in there the focusing on the process and not just focusing on the process, but constantly bringing yourself back to truly reconnect with the process is something else I've called out. But what else would you add on there? Like, what has helped you on your journey as an artist?
I think it is that coming back to myself when I do worry about when I do have that self doubt or I find a gallery and I go, yes, I would fit amazing in that gallery, and I contact the gallery and then they don't really need me there, and I know it's that self doubt stuff. But then I go back to why do I do this? Like the reason I'm doing this is for me. And I'm really grateful that I can meet people and I've got the community and I'm painting. So for me, when am feeling that doubt, I actually come in and I go, okay, I'm painting today because it's that getting back to connection and connecting with yourself. You've got that whole, you got to put your own oxygen mask on before you put out everyone else, help everyone else. So I've got to come back to why I do it before I can then look at where it's going to go, where it's going to head in the future. Does that make sense?
It truly does. I think it's just really gorgeous and fantastic advice as well. Now, we have to wrap up the episode quite soon. So I wanted to ask you, where can our listeners go and see your art, either online or in the flesh, and how can they contact you as well?
So go to my webpage that shows you all my art. It'll also at the bottom of it shows you the galleries that I'm selling through at the moment. I'm on Instagram for Jack Ponrero, and I'm always happy to chat if people want to actually reach out and say hi.
And which galleries are you with currently at the time of recording?
I've got Art to Art, which is in Hawthorne. There's a beautiful gallery down there. I've got Martine Gallery in Sydney. I am working with Satch & Co in Holbrook. And there's a store in Griffith because Griffith isn't far away. So there's a little store that sells my art there as well called Ivy and Ash.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jack, for being with us today. It was absolute pleasure to have you on. And yeah, I'll catch you soon.
Yes, you will. See you later. Bye,
Bye.
everybody. See ya.
That is it for this episode. I am so glad we could share this time together. I'm Ros Gervay, and I'll catch you in the next one.